Welcome on the channel Voices of Reddit. Today we have an intriguing story about the
I know the title sounds bad, and I also know that parts of this make me seem like a bad person. However, I also think I deserve grace and understanding. Maybe I'm completely wrong. Well, my name is Sarah, and I'm a 27-year-old woman. I'm currently going through a tumultuous divorce with my soon-to-be ex-husband, Luke, who is 30 years old. Our relationship began when I was just 15, and we married when I was 19. Looking back, I realized how young and vulnerable I was. I had a troubled childhood marked by trauma, and Luke made me feel complete. He used to say that he was the only one who could help put me back together, and I believed him wholeheartedly. I thought that as long as I was with him, I'd be okay. For a while, that was true, but I lost a lot of my identity in the process. I thought I was happy, but when you lose yourself in someone else, you can see how toxic they can be. In 2020, everything changed. Luke's occasional outbursts became more frequent as his drinking worsened. He would scream at me, call me worthless and stupid, and tell me I wasn't fun anymore. He coerced me into intimacy by telling me I was useless unless I complied and that he deserved it. On a few occasions, he even became physically abusive when I stood up for myself or refused his advances. He also cheated on me with his friend's wife and his best friend's girlfriend. To be honest, I thought I deserved this behavior. I believed I was inadequate and that his actions were somehow my fault. This is where the second part of my story begins. I found out about his affair with his friend's girlfriend because the friend told me. Luke didn't deny it. I felt utterly broken. I resolved to stay and try to work things out, but I ended up growing close with that same friend, whose name is Mike. We started spending time together, and I felt an immediate connection with him. When I realized I might have feelings for Mike, I decided to talk to Luke about it. Perhaps because he was drunk or thought I wouldn't act on it. He gave me the go-ahead. He said that if he could fool around, then I could too. I only enjoyed every minute with Mike. Initially, it was purely physical. He was living a bad relationship himself, and I was trying to learn how to ask for what I wanted. But over time, I discovered how amazing he was, and little by little, I felt my own personality resurfacing. One day, I decided to confide in him about everything Luke had done to me. With my newfound confidence, I realized that I didn't deserve that kind of treatment. Mike was absolutely horrified. He said he had suspected something was wrong, but didn't realize the extent of it. He promised he would be there for me no matter what. And he was. We fell in love, and I didn't know what to do. Mike loves me but is unsure if he wants to be with me because of the severe backlash he'd faced personally. I ultimately decided to file for divorce, even if I couldn't be with Mike. I knew I couldn't stay in that home, constantly scared and anxious. When I filed, it was like a switch flipped for Luke. He stopped drinking, said he would go to couples therapy, and, honestly, all the abuse stopped. I felt conflicted, wondering if I was making the wrong decision. He asked me to stop seeing Mike. I told him I did, but I hadn't. I couldn't bring myself to end things with Mike, and even though Luke was trying to change, I couldn't get over everything he'd done to me over the past 3 years. Maybe I could have forgiven him if I had stopped seeing Mike, but I didn't. I just knew I never wanted to go back to the possibility of that toxic environment. And now, I feel horrible. I'm still seeing Mike, and I'm still in love with him. Even with an uncertain future, I enjoy every day I get to spend with him. He says he feels the same. The guilt eats at me, but I can't stop seeing him. During the divorce proceedings, all my friends took Luke's side. He told them about Mike, but didn't mention his own abuse. With him working on himself, I didn't want to tell anyone about the abuse either. I didn't think it would help. So now, everyone knows about Mike and me, but they believe we're not together. No one really talks to us. Well, my divorce was finalized in December. I'm excited and ready for it all to be behind me. I only am hopeful that Mike and I can be together openly. And if that makes me a bad person, so be it. I don't want to wait around hoping a man can't get it together when I have something great right in front of me. If Mike and I don't work out, that's fine too. I just know I deserve better. Amid all this, another painful situation unfolded. My mother passed away a year ago. We knew it was a possibility, so she had divided up her jewelry that my dad had given her over the years to pass on to us. I had picked out 2 rings that I had helped my dad choose for her. They were not cheap, about $10,000 each when I got them appraised. When I left Luke, I left quickly and with basically nothing, just to get out. He kept some of my belongings, but it was in our divorce agreement that certain items were to be given to me and held in a safe deposit box until I could retrieve them. I took virtually nothing of monetary value from the marriage when I left and gave him almost everything. After the divorce was finalized, I returned to my home state to pick up the rings. I found out that Luke had not put the rings in a safety deposit box, only some of my other jewelry. I confronted him about it and discovered that not only had he not safeguarded them, but he had given them to his new girlfriend, Daisy, who is 21. She claimed she had them in her jewelry box for safekeeping but conveniently couldn't find them. She knew what they were, according to the texts I have, and that they were not his to give or hers to keep. I spoke to my divorce lawyer. He's filing a lawsuit since, first, inheritance is not marital property, and second, Luke did not fulfill his end of the divorce decree. I'm asking for $25,000 cost of the rings, plus emotional damages, for the loss of the only things I have left from my mom. I also filed a police report for the theft of the rings by his girlfriend. That might not go anywhere, but they are investigating whether she or he sold them. I think it's a high possibility given their value. I'm devastated by losing these precious items. They were so special to me. Luke and Daisy are furious with me because it's too much money that they don't have, and she could get charged with theft or laundering money from selling them. Their friends, many of whom used to be mine, but whom I no longer speak with, have been blowing up my phone, calling me awful names, saying I've hurt Luke enough already, and to just leave it alone, that I'm getting what I deserve. I wish I could get the rings back, but I'm so upset over this and his whole attitude about it that I want to go scorched earth on them. At this point, it's not only about the sentimental value, but also to send a clear message after everything. About a week later, I was getting nowhere with them. The police seemed uninterested, and my lawyer said that while we had a case, it could take ages. My family and I searched for numerous pawn shops but couldn't find anything. I was feeling hopeless, thinking the rings were lost forever. Then, a friend from my past, Emma, messaged me on Instagram. She hadn't sent me any negative messages like others had. We just hadn't been in touch. She linked me to a profile belonging to Daisy's brother and said, "I'm not sure, but his fiancé's ring looks like it might be yours." Emma also lost her mother when she was younger and said she didn't care what happened between me and Luke, but she wasn't going to let someone take that away from me. We talked for a bit, and she said she was upset when she heard about the rings being missing, and that Luke had gloated about me never getting them back. She wanted to help find them if she could. I went over to the page, and sure enough, there was my favorite ring, a diamond, with a weaving silver and rose gold diamond paved band prominently featured in their engagement photos. I then did some sleuthing, looking at every family member Daisy had, and found another sister wearing my other ring, claiming it was her purity ring gifted by her sister for her 16th birthday. I was floored and very angry. I called in sick to work for the rest of the week, drove back to my hometown, picked up my brother, and went to Luke's apartment. He answered the door, and I lied, telling him that the police were going to arrest Daisy's brother and sister for theft unless he returned the rings within 2 days. One day went by with no rings, so I messaged the brother's fiancée, Kayla, on Instagram. I showed her pictures of the ring on my hand and on my mom's hand, explained that it was stolen and that I wanted it back. This poor girl was appalled. I honestly think she had no idea. We ended up talking on the phone. She apologized and said she would talk to her fiancé. I told her that I was getting that ring back. We arranged to meet up. I showed her more proof that it was mine, told her the whole story, and thank goodness she gave it back to me. She said she didn't like Daisy and thought she was bad news, so she stayed away from her. She also said she would talk to her fiancé about why he thought getting a ring from his sister would be a good idea. word must have gotten back to Luke, because he started calling me incessantly, leaving messages saying he'd do anything, but to please not make Daisy's sister give back the ring. It was embarrassing. And so on. I picked up my brother again and went back to Luke's apartment. This time, both he and Daisy were there. A yelling match ensued. My brother had to keep me from physically confronting Daisy. I ended up sitting in their entryway, refusing to leave until I got the ring back. I told them they could call the police to remove me, and I'd tell the cops everything about the rings. After about an hour, Daisy left and returned with the ring. The whole time, Luke was saying that my mom was basically like a mother to him too, and he should have something from her, that it was only right. My brother stood between us, telling him to back off. When I finally had the second ring back, I stood up and lost control. Years of pent-up anger and hurt came pouring out. I screamed at Luke, told him off, and, in a moment of rage, spit on him before leaving. It wasn't the most mature response, but it felt cathartic. I'm surprised the neighbors didn't call the police on us, but the apartment complex isn't known for being the nicest place. As for why Daisy thought it was a good idea to give the rings to her family, I don't know. I'm just happy that my rings are back and that the drama is over. I don't have to deal with them anymore. Nothing else is needed from our divorce decree. My boyfriend, Mike, promised me a massage and cuddles from our cat when I got back home. And honestly, I'm just hoping to never hear from Luke or Daisy again. A little while later, Luke reached out to my brother asking to speak to me. I had him blocked, so I never got the messages. My brother asked me if it was okay, and I agreed to talk to him. Luke told me he went to treatment, has been sober, and is remorseful. He said that the ring debacle and our divorce made him realize how messed up he'd become. He started attending AA meetings, therapy, and broke up with Daisy. He dumped his enabling friends and is living with his brother for now. He found a few more things, like pictures of my mom, and gave them to my brother to give to me. He let me know he understands I want minimal contact and won't reach out again unless I do. I'm honestly happy for him and hope he stays sober. As for Daisy and her family, according to Kayla, things went downhill for them. After Luke left Daisy, she showed up at Kayla and her fiancé Dave's house, begging for a place to stay because she couldn't afford rent on her own. Dave, without asking Kayla, said yes. Daisy moved in, and it was a disaster from the start. She didn't help out, was constantly drunk or high, and it got worse when Kayla's jewelry started disappearing. Daisy and Kayla got into a physical altercation after Kayla caught her rummaging through their bedroom. Cops were called, and Daisy was arrested for assault and drug possession. Kayla and Dave broke up, and they're in the process of selling their house. As for me, I'm living my best life with Mike and our cat. I'm treated well, and am still in therapy to heal. I'm pretty far removed from all the craziness now. I don't plan on updating again, as I'm doing well and no longer have anything to do with any of this. Thank you to everyone for your kind words and support. I appreciate everything. So, am I the bad person for going scorched earth over my inheritance rings and potentially getting my ex-girlfriend in legal trouble?